Welcome back to the Mechee for the Midwest podcast. Man, I got a couple of documentaries for y'all this week that I'll end up watching on Netflix. The first one I want to talk about, since it's football time, week one in the NFL, I want to talk about this Dallas Cowboys documentary, the Gambler and His Cowboys. This is an 8-part series with Jerry Jones and some of the Hall of Famer players that played to Michael Irvin, Troy Aikman, Emmett Smith, Charles Haley, Deion Sanders. I want to say are like the main ones that was on here. They also had some of the previous coaches from back in the days. Jimmy Johnson and Barry Switzer was some of the coaches. Now, I just wanted to give my opinion on it and to say who, I won't say not necessarily who's to blame for the Cowboys to fall off the way that they did, but just going back into those days, back in the days, at one point, Cowboys was an okay team. Jerry Jones ended up buying the Cowboys at a young age. I might be all over the place, but I'm gonna try. I don't want to give all the details out, but I just want to talk about the key parts of the documentary. Uh, he started out a young cat that I think they were doing like pumping oil or something like that, and he ended up getting enough money, having enough money to buy into the Cowboys. He became the owner of the Cowboys and started the team. He had a coach at the time that he let go, and that's when this all started. They weren't winning games for a while. They end up signing Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson went out and was it the first year they were competitive because he was just a different type of coach that was hard on them, and he just like loved football. He loved to win. Um, at one point, they just didn't have. They believed that they needed an edge rusher to get to the quarterback on the defense to set the tone on the defense. They end up playing against the 49ers, and the 49ers, Charles Haley at the time was a hothead and whatever, and he was getting into it with the team and the coach at the time. He ended up, I want to say they said he pissed on the coach desk or something like that, and was asking to be traded. In comes Jerry Jones. They end up making a deal that sent Haley to the Cowboys, and damn, what's the running back name? They traded away a running back at the time. Damn, I can't think of his name. I'm having a brain fart. They had one of the best running backs at the time. They ended up trading them away, pretty much getting draft capital. And once they got this draft capital, they started building their somewhat dynasty. So they had Charles Haley. They went out and got some big pieces, and they eventually won 2 Super Bowls. Now, with the 2 Super Bowls they won, they had Michael Irvin. They with that draft picks that they had, they ended up getting Emmitt Smith and Troy Aikman. So all these pieces, all these at first, him and his son got into it because like we just traded away the best running back in the league. Now we're not gonna be shit. They went out and got all these pieces that end up being Hall of Famers. Now, what happened was once they got to a point, it was a point where Michael Irvin was a superstar in the league, like on the Jerry Rice level. I didn't know this at the time, but he was on that type of level, and he became, I wouldn't say like a troublemaker, but back then they were doing like coke and everything, like cocaine, all type of stuff. Most of these dudes was married. They end up buying this house by the training camp where they called it the White House. So there they would have like women that they mess with, strippers, and they also had drugs. Now you're not supposed to be doing drugs, but it was a time that in the off season they had such of a big window that they can do drugs, and I guess it'll be out their system before the season comes back around. So that's when shit started getting a little rocky. They had a couple of key players start getting hurt. One of them got into a car wreck. One of the linemen got into a car wreck. So they start feeling like the team started going down a little bit. Now they end up running to the 49ers again, but this time the 49ers have Deion Sanders on the team, and they felt like Deion Sanders did a good job of shutting off one side of the field. So he was the 49ers end up winning the Super Bowl, and Deion Sanders ends up becoming a free agent. So once he became a free agent, Jerry Jones pretty much got on all the phones, got on TV and said that he want Deion Sanders. He's gonna do everything he can to get him. and he ends up going to acquire Deion Sanders. At the time, I want to say it was like 38 million, like 13 million that was guaranteed, and that was a big, huge contract, one of the biggest contracts back in those days. So Jerry Jones to me is just a businessman. At times, I feel like he's in the way. I know in my last episode I was saying like he's in the way of this whole. Every time that they got something great, he ends up trading the player away or not wanting to pay him or whatever. But this made me understand that he's just a businessman. When he got Deion Sanders, like I said, he paid all the money to get him. And once he got him, I want to say they lost the first year, but then that next year they end up winning the Super Bowl. So now you got all these star players on the team, and now you got to pay all these people. And this where the downfall happens again. It's like Michael Irvin at the time, with him still being the biggest superstar on the team for the most part at wide receiver, he's doing drugs. He's got caught into a scandal with these strippers or whatever, and they pretty much he was facing about 20 years. So I didn't know this part, but he was facing 20 years, and the ladies that he was involved with and stuff was pretty much diming him out or stuff. And somehow he got off and only had to do like 3 or 4 years probation. But once this happened, this was, like I said, it was the downfall of the team. With them getting a little bit older, everybody wanted a certain amount of money. They had to start letting people go. So I want to say the first person was Dion. He ends up leaving the Cowboys and signing with the Redskins, a divisional rival. Michael Irvin ends up that next season trying to play, and he ends up breaking his neck in the game, so he had to retire. Troy Aikman starts suffering too many concussions, so he had to retire. So that just left out of all the stars at the time, Emmitt Smith was the only player there, and I don't think they wanted to pay him the money at the time. So after he said he wanted to stick around and break the rushing record. Once he broke the rushing record, he was let go by the Cowboys and went to the Arizona Cardinals for I want to say like one season. Came back to the Cowboys and retired. So I know I sped through that. I really want y'all to go sit down and watch the documentary because it's eight part series and it's like an hour pretty much every episode. But just to in general, like in summary, Jerry Jones to me is I look at him more as a businessman. I can acknowledge what he does now. He wants the best for his team. If he has to trade away to get draft capital, that's what he'll do. And I know it's been said before, but if you got draft capital, the more first round picks or second round picks you got, the more chance that you can get these younger guys in here that's hungry to make a big contract, but you don't just have to go out of pocket and pay a player $50 million like Michael Parsons was wanting. Now, fast forward to this trade. When I look at it, at first I was like, Jerry Jones is crazy for trading away Michael Parsons because he's still in his prime. He's 26 years old. But to him, he starts seeing the signs of Michael Parsons getting injured these last couple of years and when they get the double of him, he can't really do much. So it's like, why am I paying you all this money if you're drawing too much attention? So I'm okay with taking that risk of trading you because you ain't won us a Super Bowl yet. You've been playing on our team for 4 years. You haven't helped win the Super Bowl. So if I could trade you off and get a Pro Bowler instead of you with a couple of first round picks, then that's what I'll do. So at the end of the day, the Jerry Jones is just a businessman. I could respect it more, but I still stand and saying that I don't believe that the Cowboys going to make any big noise until they let him go. So that's all I got for this documentary. I want to get into this other one on this next episode. So if you haven't saw it yet, it is called The Gambler and His Cowboys. It's based on Jerry Jones and the Cowboys and pretty much the story how Jerry Jones started and where they are now. And I know I ain't even mentioned like the Jimmy Johnson part when they won the 2 Super Bowls. Jerry Jones was kind of looking at him like, well, I'm the one that hired you. They're not recognizing me. They're all about the coach. They're just so focused on Jimmy Johnson that they're pretty much saying fuck Jerry Jones. So he took it that way, and they got the bumping heads for a little while. And finally, they had a little bit too much to drink, and he finally told the people, somebody in the meeting, like, hey, I'm firing his ass, and got him up out of there. So once they fired him, that's when the other coach, Barry Switchers, came in, and he was a completely different coach. They couldn't get it right the first year, but then the next year they went out and got Deion Sanders, and that helped him get his Super Bowl ring. But after he starts seeing the bullshit coming on with the Cowboys, he told Jerry Jones that you might want to find another coach because I ain't doing this bullshit. So he got out right when he wanted to, but the main thing out of this was like people was wondering, like, I wonder if Jimmy Johnson would have got the Cowboys to three-peat or win even more Super Bowls if he would have stood around, if him and Jones could have worked their differences out. So make sure y'all go check that out. It's called The Gambler and His Cowboys, live now on Netflix. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe to the Mechee from the Midwest.